Hey guys, welcome to the Dark Tales 2 Scary Security Night Shift Horror Story. Please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe to enjoy more horror stories. A few months ago, I experienced a tumultuous divorce that left me emotionally drained. During the brief 2 years of our marriage, my ex and I had constant shouting matches and insults, leading to multiple noise complaints and an ultimatum from the building management. Eventually, we decided to end the marriage, and she got most of the possessions, including the house that belonged to her family. I was left with just my clothes, some photos, and my loyal dog, Riley. Financially struggling at the time, a friend generously offered me a place to stay until I could get back on my feet. During my stay, I focused on finding a better paying job to stabilize my life. My search led me to an opportunity as a campus security guard at the local community college, but there was a catch. The job was for the night shift. Although I was hesitant at first, my mounting bills and debts compelled me to take the position. The campus was sprawling and bustling during the day, but when my night shift started, it transformed into an eerily quiet and deserted place. My main responsibilities included conducting 2 thorough searches around the campus, checking all buildings, and monitoring security cameras. I became friends with 2 senior security guards, James and Danielle, whose shifts overlapped with mine for a brief period. As the night wore on, the campus emptied, leaving only a few students' cars and occasional late working staff. During breaks or lulls in activity, I'd read books or listen to spooky stories on my phone to pass the time and combat the eerie feeling of being alone on the campus after dark. Over time, I got used to the solitude and found my financial situation improving as I moved into a small apartment and began saving for a used car. One night, however, everything changed. While watching the security camera feed, I noticed a strange large shadow moving near one of the lampposts in the south parking lot. Investigating the area, I found nothing, but an unsettling feeling lingered. Later that night, exhausted from lack of sleep and the late hour, I let myself briefly nap at my desk, only to be abruptly awoken by a sense of danger. On the security footage, I saw a tall figure, seemingly a person with long black hair, standing motionless under the lamppost. Curious and concerned, I went to investigate, but as I reached out to touch the trespasser, her skin emitted a burning sensation, and she turned around to reveal a horrifying sight, a humanoid figure with the head of a goat or ram, red eyes, and terrifying horns. Frightened, I ran back to the security office, and the creature pursued me with a thunderous roar. In desperation, I called the police, but when they arrived, the creature was gone, leaving them skeptical of my account. Terrified and feeling unsafe, I decided to resign immediately and never return to the campus security job. The experience left me haunted by the memory of that night, unsure if the creature was still lurking in the shadows or if it was a figment of my imagination. The fear of the unknown made me question my sanity, but one thing was certain. That night had forever changed my life. Let's get into the second story. In the past, I worked as an overnight security guard at various locations in Chicago, including a large corporate office building. Although most of my overnight jobs were relatively uneventful, the short time I spent at this particular office building turned into a bizarre and eerie experience that prompted me to quit after just 3 nights. The incidents during those shifts were so unsettling that I opted for unemployment rather than enduring another moment in that unsettling environment. The first night at the corporate office building seemed typical for my line of work, but the second night began to take a strange turn. Unexplained creaking noises emanated from the boiler rooms, and I heard static on my radio, which my fellow guards didn't seem to notice. However, it was the third night that the situation took a decidedly unsettling turn. During my regular rounds, I found myself walking down an extraordinarily long hallway, stretching approximately 400 feet. Offices and conference rooms lined both sides of this hallway, each featuring a window. As I passed each window, I briefly caught glimpses of my reflection, only to have it interrupted as I moved from window to wall and vice versa. Everything seemed normal until I walked past the last window and caught a momentary sight of someone seemingly walking behind me. Although I initially panicked, I quickly rationalized that it was probably just a trick of the light or my imagination playing tricks on me. Trying to brush off the unsettling moment, I continued my shift without any other noteworthy incidents. However, after about an hour, I couldn't help but wonder about the strange double reflection I had seen earlier. Curiosity getting the best of me, I glanced behind me to examine the reflection in the fire door's glass. To my utter shock, it appeared as if my reflection had 2 heads, as if one head was splitting off from the other at the neck. My heart pounded, and I couldn't explain the bizarre sight. Trying to convince myself that it was another trick of the light, I shook off the strange experience. As I returned to the security office a few minutes later, my duty partner asked me if someone else was with me in the corridor during my recent rounds. I was certain that no one had accompanied me during my patrols, but my partner insisted that they saw someone walking behind me for a brief moment. I brushed it off as a joke, assuming they were trying to spook me, but they swore on their mother's life that they had seen it. This incident was the tipping point for me. The constant unexplained occurrences were becoming unbearable, and the thought of enduring more such incidents drove me to quit after only 3 shifts. Even though Chicago wasn't lacking in security job opportunities, I decided to opt for unemployment rather than subject myself to that unnerving environment any longer. The easy money from odd jobs was sufficient to keep me afloat while I sought out a more stable and less disconcerting position.